Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to your weekly dose of celestial goodness. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey and in this space. I definitely do not take it for granted that you've taken time out of your schedule to join me here. I really do appreciate it, so thank you. So, I love to take long walks. The greener the area, the better. And by that I mean the more trees, the better. Throw in a river or even a creek, and you've got a happy camper. And by camper, I mean glamper. Alternatively, if I'm somewhere by the sea and the water's a good temperature, I really like to just walk along the shore and allow the water to just, brush up against my feet, going back and forth. So I really couldn't choose between the sea or the woods. I really do love both. And I just love to spend time outdoors because it really gives me a very peaceful feeling. And that feeling is priceless. So recently I've been taking some long walks around the neighborhood, looping back and forth to get a certain mileage goal. If I'm walking alone, sometimes I'll listen to music, astrological updates, or an audiobook, but at least some of the walk will be spent in a sort of quiet contemplation, listening to the sounds of nature and observing my surroundings. Sometimes I notice something that I haven't noticed before, or I become really overwhelmed with amazement and joy at what I would call the symphony of the trees. Right now, because it's October here, and because we're in a place where you can observe the seasons changed by the trees, yes, there are places in the world where the leaves don't really change color, at least not so noticeably as here. These walks really provide me with this amazing, exceptional view of nature's artistry. So one day as I was walking, I could hear the wind rustling the leaves. Birds were chirping, and it all just sounded like this magic, beautiful, orchestrated piece of music. The sunlight shimmered through the leaves, felt warm on my skin, and I closed my eyes for 1 second. And when I opened them, a huge monarch butterfly flew very close to me. I've either seen this butterfly or another one just like it, usually when I've had a particular question or thought on my mind. So I wondered, is this a sign? If you know me, then you know that I love unicorns and butterflies. Butterflies have always appeared to me as a sign of something happening in my life. Some personal transformation or just an abundance of reminders about things like staying on track, staying in the flow of things, remembering the beauty that exists all around. Butterflies also, for me, spark memories of loved ones who've passed away. So once a butterfly landed on me, and in that moment, I thought about my grandfather. It just felt like a reminder that I was not alone, and really that there was just something so much greater than all of us, and that connects us. So butterflies do also remind me about where I come from, because being from an island, a tropical island, there are tons of butterflies there. And it also reminds me that small actions can have very large impacts, just like the actual butterfly effect. The butterfly effect is an underlying theory within chaos theory. Chaos theory is a branch of mathematics that focuses on chaos. It's very closely associated with the work of an American mathematician and meteorologist, Edward Lorenz. And in the 60s, he did some research that showed how a small change in an initial condition in one location, like a butterfly flapping its wings, could have a larger and different outcome somewhere else. In the example from Lorenz's research, a butterfly flapping its wings several weeks earlier could have a role in the formation and development of a tornado somewhere else. I need to remember sometimes that the small actions that I'm taking in this present moment can actually help to significantly change and alter the future. For example, I didn't know that taking one class in law school could actually alter my entire career path. I do feel that the divine, the universe, God, whatever your preferred term is always trying to have a conversation with us. And I do feel like we're able to co-create our lives with the divine. And that we're often getting signs, but sometimes we're not paying attention, or it's just that it's not time yet for that sign to make its way into our conscious awareness. I do remember a time in my life when I just wished that the skies would open up and something or someone benevolent would just tell me what to do. Well, life doesn't quite work that way, but there are some ways in which we do receive signs, and there's some really good mechanisms for tapping into understanding them and for gaining more clarity. Speaking of signs, I just received a book called Man and His Symbols by Carl Jung. I had written this book down in one of my notebooks, and I said I should read this book. I never actually got around to reading it, and then in recent weeks, I have literally seen no less than 5 mentions of this book, virtual talks and conversations, or in other books that I've read. I don't believe in coincidence personally, so I took this as a sign that it was time for me to read this book, and I'm sure I will let all of you know how that pans out. Now, there are at least 2 other times in my life when I have felt the presence of someone who has passed away in the form of a sign. When my great aunt passed away in Jamaica, one of the things that I kept from among her possessions was a bright green dress. She wore it often, and it reminds me of her. I can actually close my eyes right now and see her standing in her tropical and lush garden wearing that very dress. Her garden was a home for many beautiful birds and butterflies, but hummingbirds were a staple there. On the day of her funeral, on several different occasions, I saw a hummingbird that was the exact green shade of her dress. It made me feel a sense of peace and calm and knowing. On another occasion, I was in Italy, and a few of my colleagues turned friends, and I had just done part of an ancient and not really well-known walk called the 12 Church Walk. We had hurried to St. Peter's Basilica to meet the rest of our group, because we were actually going to do a tour of the Vatican's Apostolic Library. I turned on my phone for 1 second, and I was flooded with messages that one of my favorite uncles, my Uncle Harry, had passed away in Jamaica. I remember the tears rolling hard and heavy down my cheeks, but I remember having to get myself together because we had to go on this tour. And I remember that when we were right in front of the library's doors, I looked down and there were 3 white feathers. There were no birds around. And I remember Anita saying, "Dude, that's your uncle sending you a message." Later, I had researched that white feathers were signs from your angels of peace, protection, love, and light. Seeing those feathers there in that way was comforting. My uncle, who was a Sagittarius like me, loved to hear of my exploration and travels. He also loved to make me coconut drops, which I loved. And even though I was miles away from Jamaica, he was and always is in my heart. Now, before we talk about different ways of receiving signs, I think it's important to remember that we can ask for a sign. Maybe you have had a decision to make about something, or maybe you just need more clarity and guidance. Aside from practicing trusting your own intuition, you can also solicit divine help. Now, divine help means that you are willing to relinquish some control and trust that things could be even better than you envision. It means that you are willing to trust that you and the divine are co-creating something beautiful. So just ask. Now, I know a lot of people, and they all come from a diverse array of religions, spiritual practices, and walks of life. I think asking is universal to all. You can say something like, "Dear God, Goddess Divine, Universe, Infinite Intelligence, thank you for your guidance and love. Please send me a sign that is clear and that makes sense to me and to my sensibilities." You might even add that you'd like to see this by a certain date, or you can say, "If I see a pink hippo, I'll know." Adding a time and date is helpful because you might not get the sign, and that is also a sign, and that is okay. So you've asked. Now what? There are a variety of different ways that signs could appear in your life. You could get an actual sign, license plates, billboards, and more. Once I said, "Hey, you know what? I need a sign." And I looked up and I was standing in front of a sign shop. The universe has a sense of humor. You can also get messages from the animal and insect kingdom. I mentioned butterflies and hummingbirds before, but there's so many others. The author, Ted Andrews, has a book called Animals Speak: The Spiritual and Magical Powers of Creatures Great and Small. You can literally look up whatever animal or insect has come into your awareness to see what they're trying to communicate to you. Early on, when I was having anxiety about putting my blog and YouTube channel together, a ladybug appeared on my desk. I mean, I hadn't opened any doors or windows. It was just really weird. I was like, how did this ladybug get in here? And when I looked it up, it says, the ladybug has always been a symbol of good luck. Ladybug asks you to make yourself useful and spread happiness around you. It invites you to push yourself, push your limits, and to believe in yourself. Okay, message received. Another way to get a sign is through your dreams. Dreams are often one way in which we receive important messages. If you have a hard time though remembering your dreams, you can ask, "Please let me remember my dreams," or just even, "Please let me dream." I have been pretty bad about logging my dreams in my dream journal, but sometimes I call my grandma, "Hi grandma," and ask her for help interpreting the messages. She's very wise and helpful with deducing everything from where I am in the dream, the location, the colors, the people, and any possible meanings. Another way is through music and sounds. You might hear a message in a song, or you might hear a particular song at a particular time that might be helpful. You might hear a knock on the door. It could be Amazon, or it could be that, there's an opportunity knocking at your door. Physical items is another way. Coins and feathers are two things that come to mind for me. Once when I was younger and I'd applied for a job that was a little bit more lucrative than previous jobs I had, I kept wondering, and then I asked, "Please show me a sign that this is the job." On the day that I got the call, almost everywhere I'd gone before, I had been finding coins. To me, coins are actually a clear sign of prosperity, so I'll take it. Repeating numbers. This is actually one of my favorites. A few years ago, I became very aware that I was seeing repeat number patterns. And I was like, am I going crazy? And I remember saying to my younger sister, Allie, do you see these numbers? And at first she was like, no, but now everybody I know sees them too because I pulled them into my number storm. I did some research though, and I discovered a whole world of people who are in what I call the repeating numbers club. Everything from 1111 to 444. Numbers and mathematics are actually at the foundation of our universe. One day I'll chat more about numerology and learn a little about the golden ratio and Pythagoras, but that's for another time. So for me, whenever a big change is coming my way, I'll see a lot of fives. 5 is a number that denotes change. When I feel scared about something, I'll see 444 everywhere. And that really means your angels are with you and you're protected. And if I need a reminder to check my thinking, well, I might see a reminder about that. Usually I chuckle because I know that I was like, off balance. And there's like the sign to remind me, get back on track. And there's a lot out there on this topic, so do your research, but follow what feels right for you. Now, emotions and feelings are also another sign. Whenever something makes me feel worried or uncomfortable, that's usually a sign that something's off. When I feel peaceful and calm about a decision or something, it's usually a sign for me to proceed. Learn how to trust your intuition. It really is a superpower in these times. So when you've asked and either gotten a clear sign or have not gotten a sign, which I also mentioned is a sign, why is that? Because sometimes not getting what we want is a huge blessing. It doesn't feel like that in the moment, but when you look back at life, it really is. I could write a whole book on that though. So anyway, remember to say a word of thanks and appreciation for the guidance that you've received. And really, if you don't feel like things are clear enough, it's okay to go back and, in your prayers or your meditation or your quiet time, to just listen or ask for more guidance. But don't overdo it where you're like really trying to manipulate an outcome. So in the week ahead, I hope that you find and receive some clear signs about a beautiful present moment and future unfolding for you. If you're enjoying these videos, please do like, subscribe, comment, share, and definitely keep watching. Thank you so much. May the stars shine so brightly over your week. Thank you.